We both spent time there in the financial markets. And I got to tell you a quick story. I remember I was just graduating from MIT with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. I'd just been offered a job at Bankers Trust and I was about to start my career. And John, I remember they flew everybody in for dinner, just dinner, at this restaurant Barolo on West Broadway. It was like the place back in the day. And I remember sitting around this table with like 60 or 80 people, the future class and the managing directors and the traders. And I'm just thinking, they flew us in for dinner. There wasn't anything on site. There wasn't orientation. And I was like, man, these people are macking it. You know, they're really gangster, the way they were thinking, the way they were behaving. And there really was this kind of vibe in the air, perhaps, even as a 22-year-old, I could tell, John. And you say that maybe Miami feels like that with the people talking about it and the vibe. First of all, this space is super exciting to be in. I feel just honored and privileged to be here. But can you maybe speak on that as far as, were those comparisons true? And did New York feel like that in the 90s?
So it's funny you say Barolo. I don't know if it's still there, but
It's not. I checked.
We may even overlap because I was in those things as well. I mean, back then when you graduated school and you want to go into finance, it was really investment banks, and they recruited you like crazy because even though there was a seemingly endless supply of people, they wanted the best of the best. And unfortunately, I did not appreciate fine wine as I do today back then, but I remember those days. And it's not easy to fly someone in from Ithaca, by the way. So that was the thing. But it's funny though, like I was in Miami. I've been there in Miami many times now, and we have a satellite office there. So there are people at Avalanche there. When you walk around South Beach or Windward or any of those places, it literally is that same feeling. If you go into a Starbucks, if you go into a restaurant, people are thinking and doing things that remind me back in the day. How do I create a new financial derivative? But how do I create a new business? How do I, use the blockchain or other technology companies that, Mayor Suarez is inviting a lot of people into the city of Miami. Yeah. So it's one of those things where like all of a sudden this tech, finance, as well as blockchain, crypto community is all there together and really trying to like brainstorm with each other. That's no different from back in the 90s. And they had the first version of 90's, had the first version of social media. It was actually Bloomberg. If you remember, after those Barolo lunches and dinners, you didn't have your friend from MIT's email, but you would connect to them through Bloomberg. Today, they connect themselves through, especially in the blockchain world, Telegram, Signal, these other mechanisms. But it's very similar how people connect and amplify the connections.
Yeah, and it's still important somehow, John, to get a bunch of humans in the same room, right? To create and get that electricity. And, London exists because this is where you had critical mass of people and you get that innovation. So it is kind of important to feel that energy. You can't do it all on Zoom, right?
No, you cannot. And, I grew up loving sports, and the sports that I loved usually were team-oriented sports. I actually played a little bit in college as well, but like baseball, football, basketball. And to me, sports is about a community, a smaller one, but people all are working together. We're trying to get the best out of each other. If I can get the best version of my teammates out, they get the best version of me out. And the best teams I was on usually were teams that frankly didn't have the best players for some reason. So you have to still be together. I know the world has changed a lot, and kids there, read this in a bank report, they spend like 5 to 6 hours a day online. Put that in perspective. Gen Xers and late millennials spend about 2.5 hours on TV. So, there's a lot going on online. That's why Mark Zuckerberg is moving towards the metaverse. And ultimately, where you spend your time. Last week, it was in Miami for me. I was buying coffee and I was having dinner, spending money there. Today, I'm in New York. I'll be buying coffee and spending money in New York. But if I am a young Gen, late millennial or a millennial or a Gen Z, I'd be probably spending money in the metaverse because I was spending 5 to 6 hours a day online.